Morning. It's Saturday morning, November 25th, 7:39 a.m. My name is Andrew Berg. I'm here to talk about my personal story with addiction issues and my personal story with mental health issues as well. So, before we get into the mental health aspect part of it, we need to understand uh, what causes someone to actually use substance and become fully addicted to it and dependent on it. For myself, it started when I was younger. In junior high, I started smoking pot with my buddies and smoking cigarettes to be cool to fit in. Um, I also began to try other things out later on after junior high or into early high school. It was no longer just drinking on the weekends and partying on the weekends. It was starting to become an every morning event for me. Drinking, I was drunk before school even started. I'm not too proud of that either, but uh, that's where my drinking took me before I stopped, and it was so out of control. And uh, then I got hit by a truck, and that also turned into another addiction, which was they brought me to the hospital and they put me on oxycodone, which we all know. Most of you know what oxycodone is and what it does to people, and how highly addictive it is for you and to become addicted to. I was addicted. Yeah, I would say at my first dose. I enjoyed the euphoria high. It not only took the pain away, but it also coped and masked the emotional pain and the physical pains that I was feeling, and the emotional pain from my childhood of abuse and neglect and torture and I had no way else to escape that but except by using altering my mind with substances. And it didn't the painkillers didn't get out of control for a good couple of years. I had control on them. I was taking them properly. I wasn't abusing them. I wasn't going to the doctors early. I wasn't doctor shopping. I wasn't pharma shopping, as they call it. But then periodically, some there was some struggles in my first marriage with the mother of my two kids. It was pretty rocky. She dealt with most of my lying and my addiction, I totally deserve her throwing me out and stuff like that, and I I totally take ownership for that and accept where I went wrong, and if I could make that up to her today and to my two children, I would. Not a day goes by where I don't think about the mistakes that I've made in my life. I've made some poor decisions, but I've also made some good strides in my life too, and great successes, and quite a wonderful a lot of achievements, certificates, training, schooling. So I got a head full of knowledge now, and I know where I'm coming from, and I do my work in the aspect of the area of mental health and addictions. I'm a mental health and addictions advocate. Uh, I've been doing that now for I put 6.5 years in a year and a half ago, and then I took a year and a half off. So 6.5 years, plus I just signed for another 6.5 year contract. Um, so give or take, that's 13, 14 years of experience as a mental health and addictions advocate. Um, I also have worked with abused women, children, youth at risk, suicides, on call 24-hour emergency service call for the hospital, to go see people that are coming off drugs or who are struggling with drug issues and that are either on the medical floor detoxing, or they're stable, somewhat stable, and are, on some medication, or the psych nurse, addictions nurse takes care of them on that aspect of the treatment role of that. And I just assess the first part of it before they do the second part, and that's, I'm totally comfortable with doing that. But back to my story, it's yeah, oxycodone really destroyed my life quick and fast. I mean, it took 10 years, 11 years of hardcore use every day, and uh, I kept getting my dose higher and popping more pills and extra ones and just abusing them. And at first I tried giving my ex partner control over my pills because I knew I was losing control. And you know what kind of father does that look like for his daughter to see? I mean, my daughter was just young at that time, and I'm pretty grateful that she didn't have to see me all screwed up on drugs. You know, she that's one thing I'm grateful for in my son too. And um, they that when I was on methadone and stuff, my daughter knew that I was sick and I had to take medicine, and that's how she said it. Um, she had no idea what it was for or what, and I kept that private. And but I will share my story with her when the day comes right, and she's at that age and she's curious and she wants to know what her dad's been doing, when she's been growing up. And I get to see them from time to time when their mom brings them, and but it's not good enough. And I'm working through that. I'm also, I had 14 and a half years clean and sober until 3 years ago. Now I've been struggling in and out of the program. I don't use every day or anything like that, but I do use substance from time to time. I went through a rough separation, divorce. She killed 6 of my babies using drugs and alcohol. I wasn't aware of it. So now I know what I must have made my ex-wife, the mother of my children, feel like, and why she'd have such strong feelings that she has towards me, and I don't blame her. I don't blame her. Yeah, it just totally tore my family apart. Everything, it took everything away that I loved, I cherished, I held on to, and I thought I worked so hard for. But I guess, left to my own devices, I destroyed myself. And and we tried to make things work for the year when I got out of detox and I was on methadone and I was clean and sober for about a year and a half. I was only smoking a little bit of marijuana. And then she was okay with that. And but our marriage failed. It was just, we were in too deep at that point, and there was just so many trust issues broken. And she just thought I was a liar, and from all the lies I told her, and we just couldn't work through it. And in that time we had to separate, and that was hard on the kids, and hard on me, and her, I'm sure, because not even 3 to 4 months after that, I got sick mentally, and I had to do a stint in a hospital for quite a long time, and I was not allowed to see my kids. I was under lock and key. They couldn't diagnose me for a period of time because they didn't know if it was the drugs or if I had a mental illness or what. You can't diagnose somebody that if they're using illicit drugs. You cannot diagnose somebody until they are off street drugs for a month to a month and a half, I believe, before they can be assessed properly and diagnosed accordingly if they have a mental disorder at all. Most of it is drug-induced psychosis, I believe. I believe in my case, that's what it was. They've put all these labels on me. You're borderline personality disorder. You have ADHD. Your schizoaffective disorder. You're bipolar. Like, what don't I have? It's like, but I don't live on those labels, and I don't let them stand in my way of achieving the goals that I tend to achieve. And I remember saying that to the psychiatrist, the treating psychiatrist, Dr. Kali Sokonkwo, from the University of Physicians and Surgeons, and and as I got to know him more, I opened up and spoke more with him and shared, the feelings that I feel and the stuff that goes on for me. And I remember in one session, after I got home from a trip, I had been out in Abbotsford, and I'd been working, doing a 2-week practicum with a youth/child develop center on site of the BC housing where I was at, staying with one of my ex-girlfriends who also has children, and that was great, and a great experience to go through, and learn and stuff like that, because now I can work with children. And I just came back from my holiday. I showed him some pictures of a site that I went to, a historical site. It has a lot of paranormal activity in it, and I went around and I was taking pictures of the house and on the windows and out on the river where the train went down, and I took a picture and there was ghosts, faces all around me and my ex-girlfriend, and she was terrified. She's like, "Oh my God, Andrew." I said, "Those are spirits." I said, "Now you can see them." I said, "Now you've seen them, now you know they're real. I'm not crazy, right? You can see them." And she's like, "Yeah, I can see them. You didn't alter that picture or nothing. You just took it and boom, there they were, man. How did you know they were there?" I said, "I just know." So when I got back to where I live, I went and saw my psychiatrist, and I told him what the event that had happened, and he kind of looked at me and, the crazy-eyed look, should I lock him up now or later kind of look. But he always had a keen interest with me, because I always knew what I was talking about, and I always proved him right, right? And I showed him the pictures, and he looked and he said, "Oh my God." And he was a man of God, believing of God himself, believed in God totally. So if he believes in God, he has to believe in spirits and ghosts and all kinds of things. And he said, "Oh my God, Andrew, those are real." I said, "Yes." So am I crazy or am I not? I said, "Now do you see the things that I can see?" He said, "Yes." And he said, "You know what? You can go off your medication tomorrow morning if you want." I said, "I can't, man." I said, "That's the only thing that stops me from sensing and seeing them all the time. Because if you'd seen them all the time and stuff, it would drive you crazy. You'd live in fear. And if you had to see what is actually out there and the terror." But yeah, so after I ended up in this hospital and got released and stuff, I I gave up my addiction. I quit using drugs. I went to meetings every day. And yeah, I built up 14 and a half years. I ran Narcotics Anonymous here in my community. I ran AA in my community here. I was the GSR. I did that for 7.5 years. And then when I had my slip just a little over 3 years ago, I was honest about it, gave down my position and said, I know I got to start over, guys, and I'm gonna, and, it just takes time, and nobody's perfect, and they don't judge me for it, and anybody can relapse or have a lapse, and that's all part of the process of recovery, because with recovery, there's all kinds of things. Like, people justify their drinking. I mean, if when I do have a slip or use, I go to my work and I tell them I've used, and I will have a dirty pee and stuff like that, and then I get restrictions on what I can and cannot do and stuff like that. But it is what it is, right? So I'm okay with that, and I'm not afraid to admit where I came from, and that sometimes I may fall, but in actuality, I do very good work, and I have helped a lot of people in Trail BC. I'm well known in the community. Done a lot of work for the community. But I've really noticed in the last 3 years of learning how to love myself again and be happy and not upset and sad and depressed about about the babies that died and Michelle and all that chaos and all the stuff I need to let go so I can be happy and be the dad I can be for my children and not have to worry about what Michelle's next move is gonna be. Like, I was just so tired of the game, and and now the healing can start, and I can do my best and get back to meetings, as many meetings as I can, and I'll get there again. I'm not gonna spend the rest of my life in this community, though. I'm gonna finish up my what I got to do for for the advisory council and being on the mental health and addictions advocate. So I got to put in that, and in 2 years I can put in a transfer and move closer to where my children live, which is Vernon, BC, and go from there and see if I need to upgrade with some extra training course or whatever. I'll do it, and work for Fraser Health instead of Interior Health, and see where that takes me, because I feel I put in my work here, and it's been recognized, but a lot of it's been just a joke in some aspects too. Like, I'm not gonna get into it, but yeah, today I don't want to use. I don't want to drink or drug to numb my pain. I'm gonna try to have a good day, nice day, go for a walk, listen to some good music, do some deep breathing, relaxation techniques down at the park, get grounded, and start my day. So, hope you all have a wonderful Saturday, and thanks for watching.